You want to become invulnerable without modding the game and killing hundreds of Reapers? Well, here's the guide for you. I know some of you people don't like long videos and just want it in a very short form, so down there's the pinned comment. If that is enough for you, go for it. For the rest, I hope you enjoy the content and have fun. Now let's go through everything that happens step by step. You'll see the gameplay play in front of you, that you have something to look at. But I highly recommend you, once you're done and you try it out and maybe it doesn't really work out, just look at the entire gameplay or the crucial parts, that you can see what I do. It doesn't make a lot of sense if you focus on it too much while I'm talking, and maybe you miss something that I'm saying that might be very important. But later down the line, it might be worth it to just give it another watch to see what's going on. So, let's talk about the very first thing that you do. Unlocking Toasty. I can't add that here, there's just way too much that goes into that, but I do have a video on that, I'll have it in the pinned comment. And the only change to that is, instead of only doing it via Stalker, you can also do it via the Drowner, that is on the Gallow Tower. You have to kill him with Moon or Rosary, do not do it with Pentagram, that doesn't work, and then you can do exactly the same thing that is described in the video. Note, to get him to spawn, it doesn't work with the 30-minute one that spawns, but the 25-minute one. There's a check in the code that checks whether you're below the 25-minute boss, the big ginormous crab. Man, that boss is amazing. Every 6 seconds it checks if you're below him, and if that's true, then it's guaranteed to spawn, or maybe it's actually just a chance, I'm not totally sure on this, but point is, you have to be below the boss, walk further down, and then you'll see an alarm signal. Now that you have Toasty unlocked, the next step is power-ups. I take all the power-ups, and yes, curse is needed, otherwise I at least never reach 200. It might be possible, but I just couldn't do it. The only power-up that I not take is pickup range. Later more to that when we talk about cats, but pretty much you don't want to pick up a lot of the items that drop out of candles, and this, spoiler, will be the main thing that you'll do. Breaking candles and, I guess, surviving. To survive, you have to die, as stupid as it sounds. One of the Arcana gives you 3 more revivals, just like that. You pick it, you get it. And every single time you die, you gain 5% might, 5% duration, 5% area, and 5% projectile speed. But also, and this is the most important part about it, armor. Every single one of them gives you 1 armor. And yes, down the line, once you realize you have to gamble for Tiragisu, get both of them, and lose both of them, you can't skip that. You would take, instead of 1 damage, 2 or 3 damage. That's pretty much double or triple the amount of damage that you want to reach as a goal. That doesn't work. But we settled the Arcana, and yes, this is mandatory. We are overall talking about pretty much the most late game out of the late game, so if you don't have that stuff, it won't work. So, Arcana, I think it's called Awaken, that one is settled. Next up, what is even the stage that you want to play on? Given the item build, it would actually make a ton of sense to play on Mad Forest, because it has a lot of the drops on the map, so you could pick something that increases your damage. However, the problem is, I haven't reached level 200 there. I'm sure it's possible, but I can't guide you there, and it's a lot more difficult. So I decided to go for Inlaid library. It's known to be a lot easier. There are some waves that are really difficult to deal with, because you have 1 HP, keep that in mind. So anything that flies towards you that you can't kill instantly, for example with, hey, my favorite weapon, garlic. And that brings us to the weapons that you want to have the moment you start the game, which is either garlic or Song of Mana. Go get the green gem and look for Song of Mana. I advise not to waste all of the rerolls. I usually take 1 to 2. And if it appears on the last one, I just quit the run, because I want to keep 1 reroll at least. Garlic is also a potential start. The only problem is you can't one-shot the enemies, simply because we're using Curse, and without Curse we don't reach level 200, which means you have to kite the enemies either with Pigeonne, which wastes a ton of time, or you walk into them, that you hit them with Garlic, but keep a distance that they don't damage you. This is insanely complicated, I don't advise that. I would really advise just reset until you get Song of Mana. If you don't get it, just end the run, go for the next one, and then try to get double garlic. Double garlic is not necessary, it just speeds up everything and makes it a lot easier. And talking about resets, you will get used to that, you'll get used to a ton of dying and a ton of resetting. This entire thing relies insanely on skill, but it's a lot more difficult, kind of, because it's a 30-minute game, right? In fact, it takes more like 40 to 50 minutes to finish a run, depending on how much time you take on level ups and if the game slows down. And keeping the attention span up for the entire time is quite difficult. So yeah, I would say get ready to be frustrated. If you want to do this to get your very first Reaper kill, maybe the other method was too exploitive for you, or it was just too much RNG for you, that is the main reason why a lot of people don't like the Red Death current kill strategy, then you have to accept this one here is purely up on you. And by that I mean, of course there is still RNG in there, with what stuff you get, when you get it, and things like this, but this is controllable RNG and can be influenced by you. Of course not what's the starting weapon, you can't really change that, but hey, you just have to reset what, like 6 seconds, 5 seconds maybe, until you get into the next game. I think that's manageable. So now that we accepted that we will have to die a lot, we will reset a lot, what about rerolls and banishes? Yes, we will banish and we will do it the moment we can. When is the moment to banish something? It's pretty much every single time you get a dead level up. A dead level up is something where you don't really care about the level up, so the future level ups are more in your odds. Now, to understand what to banish, you need to know the weight in the game for each of the weapons, and to be honest, I don't think you will know that, because not even I know this and I made a video on it. But if you're new to the game and you actually care about the game, or let's say you want to learn more about it, and at this point just quickly greetings to Asmongold as well as his community, of course. I have another video linked in the pinned comment called Tips, Tricks, Mechanics and Secrets about Vampire Survivors, where I go in depth about a ton of things in the game. Some more for beginners, others more for very experienced players, like how the luck mechanic exactly works in the game, what it influences, as well as stuff like rarity of weapons. So what do we consider a bad level up that we would banish something else instead? It's pretty much everything that doesn't really change too much about the game. So for example, bonus health, bonus armor, it doesn't really matter too much. Don't get me wrong, it's not completely bad, but we can just use our resources more wisely. I also count Pigeonne and Ebony Wings in that category, and possibly even something like Candelabrador, if it's already on a high level and you don't really care about the 10% anymore. Just to be clearly understood, I'm not saying you should ban these, I'm just saying if nothing else is offered as a level up but these, then just spend the time to banish something else that you don't want to take for the run either way. So far the only weapon that I consider as mandatory is Song of Mana. Garlic is not mandatory, but given that we will reach level 200 either way, we don't need more damage. In fact, it's even bad if you overlevel too much, because the death will scale with the level that you're on. So there's a big difference between being level 207 for example, or 230. Garlic also offers great protection later on, as it increases the knockback that enemies receive. Now, it's not needed, you could just replace it with a death spiral and it has a better effect, but again, you don't need it. You don't need more kills and more experience. So yes, Garlic is definitely optional, but I would advise to use it. If you don't want to use Garlic, however, you can go for Laurel. Laurel is overall an amazing weapon that shields you, and with only 1 health, that is insanely useful if a random ghost flies into you or something like this, that you just don't die from it. It's not needed to survive against the Reaper later on, but it just makes the run more secure. Pretty much the same role that Garlic has, except Garlic also allows you to farm experience early on. The next 2 weapons are definitely mandatory. The first one is Gatti Amari, that is the cat that we are talking about. You need this weapon as it is the only reason this strategy works, and if you have bad experience with it and think it's weak, just ignore it, okay? There's not a single weapon that will get close in the damage that it deals. And I'm talking about G values on the final end screen, that is after millions. And the second weapon that is mandatory is the evolution of Whip. You need a bloody tear to heal up the damage that the Reaper is dealing to you, otherwise you will still end up dying. As the last weapon we have Gorgeous Moon. Gorgeous Moon is the evolution of Pentagram, and without that I didn't manage to hit level 200, so it's definitely needed. And this one is a bit more complicated. If you are at max cooldown, meaning negative 35% on this character, it will take exactly 39 seconds that it blasts off and kills everyone. Also, the moment you evolve, it will take roughly 12 seconds that the animation plays through and blasts off the first time. You pretty much have to calculate when to evolve the weapon, that it goes off twice later on minute 29. The last blast off has to be as late as possible. I usually aim for 29:58, so 2 seconds before the first Reaper spawns. The worst thing that can happen to you is that you don't reach level 200, since you can't prepare a vacuum to collect all the experience. You have to rely on Gorgeous Moon, or that you become very lucky and one drops right around you, but instead it's a lot easier to do the timing. You see a table on the right. This is the moment where you pick up the chest and evolve Gorgeous Moon. It already has a 12 to 13 seconds animation time subtracted. That means, yes, this is exactly the timing that you pick, and the last blast off will be at 29:45 plus the animation time. You might have noticed that we only have 5 weapons on the screen, and that's because our starting weapon is Pigeonne. You can evolve Pigeonne into Vandalier, which is generally speaking a powerful Union evolution. Union meaning you take both the weapons that it combines out of, they disappear and evolve into that one. Now, generally speaking, Vandalier is a very powerful evolution, but compared to the damage that we focus on with the cat and the blast off with Gorgeous Moon, it barely gets any kills in. It's a nice to have, but it's definitely not needed, especially since Ebony Wings is also a rare weapon, and it can be very frustrating just to wait for it. So yeah, I would say if you don't get it, don't sweat it, just go for Pentagram right away. Boy, that took a while, but now we reach the passive weapons. Hey you! As you can see, I finished the over 7-hour recording at 11 PM, and I edited until now, 4 AM in the morning. And I even recorded before that, so if you enjoyed the video or if it's helpful, I would highly appreciate it if you could give it a like. And I'm not asking you to subscribe to me, but just to give me a chance, check out 1 or 2 videos, see if this is maybe something that you would enjoy, and, well, enjoy the rest of the video. This one will be quicker. The mandatory ones are Armor, Hollow Heart, and Crown. Armor is needed to survive later on, Hollow Heart is needed to evolve the whip, and without that you will eventually die, and Crown is needed to evolve Pentagram into Gorgeous Moon. Not as important, but very important, is Clover. If you watch the tips, tricks, mechanics and secrets video, you already know why, but just to dumb it down, it reduces the chance for negative events, in this case that the cats scratch you, and it increases the likelihood of positive events, in this case that cats perform actions more often, and the respawn chance of candles, as well as what you get out of them. The higher your luck, the more chickens you get, and don't worry, we'll talk about the cats in depth in a second. One special passive weapon is Tiragisu. This one is only taken to die twice with it. If you don't do this, you'll take 3 damage instead of 1, so trust me, you need it. And pretty much the moment you get it and you get close in on 6 passive weapons, just die twice, get rid of it, find the last missing passive weapon for you, and then pick up the empty tome on the map. Empty tome being the last one that is really important. So just in case you didn't know that, if you have 6 passive weapons and you pick up a map item that is on the map, you just get it as an additional passive weapon. So in this case, Empty Tome would be the 7th passive weapon and just add it to a new row. For the 5th and 6th slot, you can choose between Duplicator, Spinach, Candelabrador and Spellbinder. If I had to give them a personal ranking, I would say Duplicator is by far the best one, Candelabrador the 2nd best one, and Spellbinder the 3rd best one. Duplicator means you will have more cats around, while Candelabrador will make your weapons wider, including your cats. It's overall very beneficial, and this can be the difference between hitting an enemy with the cats or not hitting them. Spinach is nice as well, but it doesn't really help you that much. For some of the waves it's actually really good, that you can kill them instead of not killing them instantly. But aside from that, it's not that beneficial. Spellbinder only makes things last longer, which is still decent, but it would definitely not be a priority for me. If I were you and wouldn't care about efficiency and just to get this done with, then I would go for whatever shows up first. Before I explain what you have to look out for while you're doing the run, let's talk a bit about the cats. I already explained that there's a chance for them, and the chance pretty much affects 4 things. The first one is an interaction with you, that is scratching you, and yeah, that can kill you. In fact, that happens quite frequently if you get them early on, so if you notice that you're about to cross a path with a cat, try to avoid them. A single hit should not kill you, especially once you have a bit more health and a bit more armor, but it can definitely kill you if you're already damaged or if you cross the path with multiple cats. The more luck you have, the less likely this is to happen. Now for the other 3 interactions that they have, one is attacking an enemy that they cross a path with, another one is picking up an item that is on the floor, and the last one is fighting with another cat that creates a scuffle, and everything that walks into the area gets attacked 33 times per second. Yes, 33 times. This is where their insane damage is coming from, and if they ate hundreds of chickens, then this ramps up very quickly. Every single chicken in this scuffle is not increasing the damage per second by just 1, but 33. Try to avoid picking up chickens on your own, this just does nothing, it doesn't count, and it's just a waste of bonus damage. Whenever you see an NFT, feel free to pick it up. If cats pick it up, they explode. And for rosaries, freezes and vacuums, it all depends whether that chance roll is successful or not. For rosaries and vacuums, if it fails, just nothing happens. If it works out, they will trigger it, and it will just do what it would usually do. And for the freeze, if it fails, it will freeze the cat, otherwise it will just freeze all the enemies. So just in case this was too much information, the core of it is have as many chickens on the floor as possible so they can pick it up, and get your luck stat as high as possible. The reason why this works so well on Toasty is because she starts with 100% luck, and every 10 levels up until 50 she gains another 20%. So just on her own, her luck is already at 200%. Combine this with the clover, the luck power up and the 10% hyper bonus, and you're sitting at 290% luck, just like that. As a side note, whenever you see a little clover dropped, this is just a clover dropped out of a breakable, in this case the candelabra, pick them instantly up. When a cat picks them up, they just gain a speed bonus, but only this cat until it despawns. That was it. It's pretty much a 5-second boost to nearly do nothing. While on the other hand, on you the higher luck means a lot of beneficial effects. Now some tips for the actual run, and take these really more as a tip and less as a guideline. I already mentioned that you don't have to use garlic, you can use laurel instead, but garlic boosts up your experience gain in the very beginning by a lot. Your goal is to get Song of Mana, garlic and the cat as fast as possible. The cat is not as important to get it right away, the chickens don't run away, but you have to break as many candles as possible. And to finalize the guide, let's talk about what you have to do in the run itself. But take this rather as tips and less as actual guidelines. Pretty much the entire run long, you need to break the candelabras that spawn on the stage, just to get as many chickens as possible. It's not important that you get a cat weapon right away, since the chickens don't despawn, you just shouldn't collect them. Garlic, as I already mentioned, is not mandatory, you can use laurel instead, but garlic gives an insane experience boost in the very beginning just because you kill all the enemies very quickly, while laurel helps you later on, once you don't have revivals left, that you don't randomly die. For power-ups I usually try to get 1 level into each just to max them out, that I can go pick up Empty Tome, but I do put some priority on Clover just to get it up as soon as possible. The earlier you get your luck up, the faster the candles will respawn and the more chickens you'll have once you get to the later stages. As mentioned, to one-shot the wave on minute 0, you need to have garlic level 2, otherwise it will not do anything and you pretty much just waste time with it. The moment you hit minute 3, the mummies will spawn, and for those you need Song of Mana level 4. Otherwise it doesn't have enough damage to one-shot them, and you run into the risk that you might just die over and over again. The moment I hit minute 6 in the game, I usually check how many chickens are still on the floor. If there's only 1 or even 0, I move over to the Empty Tome, as that wave barely gives any experience. It's pretty much the best time to interrupt what you're doing and move over to pick up the Empty Tome once you died 6 times and Taragisu is out of your passive weapon slot. Be aware that the moment you hit 7 minutes, the stage is flooded with enemies and it becomes really difficult to move through them. So either do it right away on 6 minutes or wait until way later. Minute 8 and 9 are usually the best farming waves for levels, 8 not as much as 9, so I usually try to get Empty Tome before the wave on minute 9 spawns, just to attack more often and get more experience out of it. If you don't have Empty Tome by now, or you didn't walk over, make sure that you do it on the 10th minute. This one is also a farming wave, but not as good as the last one, but you need to be prepared for minute 11. This is another jump where the enemies are more tanky, and while they do barely any damage, you have no HP. On any other character you wouldn't care too much, but on this character you do. If you don't have Empty Tome yet, you usually don't attack fast enough to protect yourself. One little trick that I can give you is go to the far bottom and stay as close as possible to the bookshelves. It makes it a bit easier to survive, but nothing can save you if you completely get overrun. Walking into the scuffles of cats is always a good idea to protect yourself, but don't overestimate this. They don't deal any damage to you, so you're fine with that. But sometimes I die when I do that, as the scuffle ended and the enemies instantly walk in. Another issue is that some enemies do get covered up by the scuffle and you don't see them walking through. So while the cats are still super weak, it might happen that a boss walks through and just kills you. So at this point you should already have your 7 passive weapons, and Tiragisu should already be gone that you can pick up Empty Tome. Never ever pick up Empty Tome before you get rid of Tiragisu. The moment you lose Tiragisu, Empty Tome will just get put into the last slot and you can't get a new passive weapon. Talking about minute 10 and 11, this is where you get your first evolution, and on minute 11 your second Arcana. For the evolution it would be best to evolve the birds into Vandalier, as it frees up a slot and you can now look for Pentagram. Just be careful, if Pentagram goes off at minute 11 and erases the boss that has the chest for the Arcana, you will not get one. The Arcana that I go for is now the speed one, and if it's not offered then the duration one. Both of those buff the cats by a lot. I usually don't like picking up the duration one at this point. It messes with Song of Mana and that is your main protection. Later on it's not a big deal since you have your evolved weapons and you're strong enough to deal with the enemies, but at this point it might mean that you lack protection for a split second and something touches you and you just die. If you struggle with dying at this point or after picking up the Empty Tome, you could also replace Duplicator or Candelabrador with Tiragisu. So you just keep Tiragisu, you keep all of your revives, and later on once Reaper appears he will kill you, but you will still get all the bonus armor and end up in the same situation, except that you don't have either Duplicator or Candelabrador. As the next evolution, I usually try to get Gorgeous Moon, just to get it going, to make sure that I have the right timer, since this is pretty much the last thing that you might mess up. Like if you get the wrong timer, then you can debate whether you want to reset now, or if you still want to give it a try. If this happens and the timer is off, you either have to pray that you still get enough experience for level 200, or that you find a vacuum towards the end of the game. As we learned, cats pick up items and activate them, which means you won't be able to just have a vacuum on the floor and use it at the very end before the death spawns. One little trick that I use when that happens is I leave the tileset the moment I see the vacuum and just try to get around 5 to 10 seconds of distance between me and the vacuum. As long as you make sure that you run over to it, like let's say 15 seconds before the stage is over, you should be fine. But if that also doesn't happen, you can only pray that you get enough level ups and pick up chests so the Reaper doesn't kill you. Every time you level up and every time you open a chest you have some seconds of invulnerability, and if you can somehow hold off death from killing you for enough seconds, then Gorgeous Moon might go off and give all the experience to you. Pretty much until minute 29, all you have to do is keep walking through the enemies, make sure you don't die, and let the cats eat the chickens. Minute 29 is the last crucial wave, and to maximize experience out of this wave, stand still. Do not move. The more you move, the less likely it is that a scuffle is created. As you will see in the video here, what I like to do is I stand still, I have 3 or 4 scuffles on me or around me, and then I move slowly away from them. By moving away, the scuffle is at the end of the screen, and enemies that spawn quickly walk into that and die. Don't be concerned if you enter the wave at minute 29 with level 130 or 150, as you get a ton of experience here if you do it right. And now we have the post commentary, where I will mention things that I see. I couldn't think of more tips that are noteworthy. One tiny thing that I do is, before I max out the last weapon that I have, in this case it was Hollow Heart, I use up all of my skips. Skips give you 20% of the experience for the current level, so it's just a nice bonus. It's pretty much 80% for level for free. And yeah, I think that's generally speaking just, you know, a nice small addition, but it won't change the world for you. And this is a witch wave, Witches are really tanky. You have to be very careful with them if you walk through them just for the candle breaking. The position that you see right now is right above 10 candles just out of vision range. You might see one candle that was just created on the bottom left, it's already destroyed. And as long as you're out of vision range of them, and vision range is just the foot of the candles, they will spawn at max frequency, like with the highest chance that they can spawn at. So as long as you stay here on difficult waves that you can't walk through because they are too tanky, you still get a decent amount of drops out of these candles that the cats will pick up. Like here it was a vacuum now, and that's, you know, a very nice extra. But yeah, whenever something is not easy to go through, I just stand there. At this point, what is it called? George's Glorious Moon is about to go off, so I just walk through the enemies. We also picked up a freeze, so that's very nice to walk through enemies. They can't hurt you or harm you while they are frozen. So now I just go around, break all the candles, and I should go back to my favorite spot over here. No, okay, I keep walking, never mind. I don't play it safe, I play it risky. Okay, that's also fine. As I said, keep in mind, you have very little health. At this point, we have a lot of armor, so only strong enemies will still kill us, which is pretty much, I think, at this point... No, never mind. Ignore what I said. We have the 10,000 health right now, right? And with our high armor, we pretty much take no damage from almost all enemies, except for bosses. So I'm not too concerned even walking through enemies if I have to. You gotta know, at this point, I wasn't sure yet whether not taking the double healing is enough to survive the Reaper. So I was still a bit concerned what will happen. This was just a test run for that, and it turned out, well, you don't need it. You don't need the healing doubling. One thing that I kinda get sometimes is, hey, but you could make this a bit more efficient, that you have more health or so, with the Order of the Hollow Heart or the Revives from Tiragisu. Yes, but as long as you heal more than you get damage, it doesn't matter if you have 10 HP or if you have 500 trillion, right? The moment you heal more than you take, it's infinite. So that doesn't matter anymore. You might also notice my sound is kind of dying in-game. I think at this point I still keep it turned on, but eventually I'll turn off the sound. There seems to be too much going on at the same time, and the sound can't keep up with that. This is, by the way, the wave that I was also mentioning, the wave 21. They are as tanky as the wave on minute 11, and if you do one misstep, they will kill you rather quickly. Now for this one I went for the projectile speed. I said I would go for projectile speed first if I get it offered. In this run I didn't, so now I did get the projectile speed, and you can see that the cats, they slow down, and very quickly they become super fast and jump around like crazy, and then they slow down again. That's pretty much the only reason why I took it, and because there is not really something else that is all too good. I could take the crit one, for sure, just for a slight boost on the whip, but is that worth it? I don't think so. As mentioned in the beginning, I could also go for Death Spiral instead of Garlic, or what I mentioned was you could replace it with another weapon, but you don't need more levels. Your perfect goal would be, or your perfect dream would be, to end exactly on level 200, as the Reaper will not have any additional health, and in the end it's your goal to kill him, right? At least I assume that this is your goal, unless you just, for the fun, for, you know, just to have it done, you want to survive forever and just let it go. I mean, that's also fine, but either way, it's just easier if the death has less health. Oh yeah, the sound is dying. Oh my god, this is horrible. I don't really know what's going on there. Something is really messing with it. Now, you have to know, this is my AFK spot. As I said, it's above the 10 candles below, just out of vision range, so they can still respawn at max rate. So whenever I do this, I usually also tab out, and I don't know what was going on today. My computer had a ton of issues. I usually don't struggle like this when I record, at least not since the performance mode. But today there was something special. I don't know. And we are pretty much 7 minutes ahead. There's another clover. Clovers are really annoying. Like, I love seeing them. They will increase the amount of candles that you break. They will increase the amount of chickens you get. but the cats keep picking them up all the time. Like at one point I got 3 clovers, I think within like 30 seconds or so, which is absolutely insane. Their rarity doesn't go up with more luck, so it actually becomes less likely to see them as the rarity for others increases. And by rarity I mean the weight, so how likely it is to appear. And I got 3 of them in a very very short time, and I think all but 1 got eaten. So that's quite unlucky. But yeah. What else is there to say about this run? I mean, it lasted for over 7 hours, but 7 hours is only the time that this particular run took. It's not the entire recording. I started recording previously on a different map, as well as on library with different item builds. Just, you know, that I could actually make this guide and see how good is Spellbinder, how good is this, how good is Spinach, and stuff like this. And the build that I have right now is the one that I think is the best. But at this point, this doesn't mean too much. Like, I'm fairly confident if I did something 50 times, 100 times, and I tried out everything a lot of times, like at least everything 10 times, then I'm very confident that I know what I'm talking about. I still don't think I'm always right. I just think that I have enough experience to talk about it with a certain precision. Here, this is like, I don't know, the 5th or 6th attempt or so. And I'm still unsure which one is the best one. Like Brazier, for example, is also an alternative that is actually really good, that I didn't previously mention, because I don't think it holds up with the other ones. But it's hard to say. So yeah, I guess also if you find Brazier, you can just pick it up in case you don't really care about getting the best out of the best. Also, keep in mind, I'm not 100% sure if Duplicator is really the best one. But the more cats you have, the more likely it is that they run into each other, so it should be the best one out of them. The Witches actually is usually a bit difficult. The problem is, do you notice how far they get knocked back? This, in my head, always makes them a target that is super easy to walk through. Now, we are beyond level 100, right? So I don't really care about if they hit me. Actually, I don't care about it at all. I barely lose any health. But if you were only level 100 by now, like not 100 yet, then this is very deadly. It feels like they can't do anything and they get knocked back super far, but they rush back in. They push each other into you and then you just die. And this wave here right now, wave 25, is one that is insanely knockback resistant. I don't think they deal a lot of damage overall, like in general. Here they don't deal any damage either way, but this should be fairly safe to walk through if you want to. But usually what I do is, I wait here for 30 to 60 seconds, I destroy all the candles that spawn down there with Song of Mana and with Vandalier attacking, and then every 30 to 60 seconds I walk around, break all the other candles that are on the map, and then I come back here. One mechanic that I didn't talk about is candle respawning, how they exactly respawn. Every second it checks for chance. I think the highest one is 57% or so, if you have 900 or so luck. I don't have the exact number in front of me. There was 570% luck, yes. That is the highest amount of luck that you can achieve. That still influences the candle spawn rate. And they can spawn in the same spot. So even if it looks like there's only one candle on the map right now, 10 candles might be in the same spot. Now the highest I've ever seen were I think 4 candles in one spot. You know, it's very unlikely. But once there are 10 candles on a spot, the game will treat candles differently. They will not just spawn at a high rate with the increased luck, but instead the game will despawn old candles that are very far away. It will take the furthest away candle and spawn it to you as close as possible, so right below you. It sounds good, right? You don't have to move, you don't have to get them, but the problem is it's not affected by luck. It goes back to the base chance pretty much, and that means you have to wait for a very, very, very long time until the candles start appearing below you. And well, now we pretty much repeat the story as previously. There are so many enemies around that I don't really want to walk through them. The main reason that I mentioned prior is I'm not sure yet if without the double healing this will be enough to survive the death, so I still wanted to maintain a rather high HP value just in case that I need to pick up some chickens to survive. By now I know it is enough, so you don't need to worry. You can literally just walk through all the enemies as long as you don't die and keep farming. Once we get to around 29 minutes, I will repeat some things I already said, because I'm almost certain there will be a decent amount of people that will skip there just to know what they have to do, and, you know, then they still get the information that is important. But if you watched the entire video so far, then, well, thank you a lot. That is amazing, and I, of course, wish you the best of the luck, and I hope the guide was not too bad. You know, I'm still sitting here in disbelief that I actually recorded this for over 7 hours. I honestly can't believe it. So what is usually underestimated a lot, in case you just didn't try yet and you're just looking what you have to do, it's just the amount of resets, right? If you look at the item build, there are a lot of rare weapons and there's a certain timing needed. And some people think, like, they see a video, and just because it happens first try in the video, like, why would I keep in all the failed attempts, that it happens to them also first try. That obviously won't happen. You can pretty much forget about that. Now that we reach 28 minutes, this is where the important part starts, and I hope I actually do this right here. These switches give you 30 experience each. The little green blobbleheads that you see with them, I think they only give 3, so it's barely anything. But this is the first wave where it really matters that you kill as much as possible. So what I'm doing is, I wait in the same position. I don't want to move. This is not for candle farming, this is really for maximizing the kills. Look at the kill counter top right. By standing still, the cats run into each other all the time, since they constantly run back to you, and then they cross path with another one and they start fighting. And you just want the enemies to walk into that. At the 29-minute mark, I should optimize this, since this wave here is not too important, and I'm noticing my level is already 147, so I will not need a lot of level ups to get to 200. You will see the next blast off of Gorgeous Moon, not because it's Gorgeous Moon, but because of all the kills that we already did, will give like 20 levels or so. And this is pretty much what will happen at minute 29 as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all you have to look out for. So, this will be a few level ups here, if I actually do them. There we go. Come on. It's not that hard to press a button, you can do it. But yeah, I think we were 147. I'm sorry, it's like 4 AM right now, and I'm really exhausted. And we just gained exactly 20 levels. This is not from Gorgeous Moon. I mean, a good amount is from Gorgeous Moon, maybe 8 to 10 levels, but not the rest. This is literally just positioning. And you might notice at the top left there's a scuffle where they fight, and you want to keep them at the border of your screen. The reason is the enemies, they spawn around there and they instantly walk into it. So what you see right now is I'm doing a movement where I go out of the scuffle and I try to push the scuffle towards the end of the screen. So the enemies that spawn, they instantly walk into that and die. And look at the kill counter on the top right, it's insane. Another thing that you just saw is I intentionally bumped into all the enemies when Gorgeous Moon was about to go off. The reason is, the further you go out, the more enemies respawn on that side, and you get more kills from Gorgeous Moon. And the first blast off is already now at 191. It's crazy. Now, a lot of that was still from the last wave as experience, but, I mean, you know, this experience here, this wave here gives a lot more experience. And since they're frozen, I'm using that to walk through them, and I'm looking for rosaries or stuff like this. I shouldn't even be looking for that, it doesn't matter at all. Like, I will just overlevel, so that one rosary that I got in the very beginning is actually bad for me. The cats do so much that a rosary doesn't matter too much. You can in fact go back and look at the amount of kills that a rosary did, and then compare this to like 5 seconds of cat killing. And I'm pretty sure the cats will be ahead of that by a lot. Maybe I'm wrong, So we are about to hit 30 minutes. There's a slowdown going on, but I was fairly certain that I will reach the level 200 here, and that is it. So at this point there's nothing exciting that I can tell you. I will pretty much just skip to some points in the video where the damage number increases happened. Now, if you want to kill as many Reaper as possible, you constantly have to keep moving and break the candles manually. As I said, I usually do this every 60 to 120 seconds, so every 1 to 2 minutes, and you won't die. You won't die. For a very long time I was concerned that I might die until I saw my health actually going up, And that's why I also stayed close to the Reaper here to still get a bit more health. But I figured, yeah, I will rather go around and still try to hit him in case the health is needed. But as it turns out, it's simply not needed. And yeah, so every single time I did my rotation, I walked around, I will go back to my position, wait 30 to 60 seconds, and then walk around again. I will show off some moments. So at the top right, you can see our kill counter is 77762. And we are looking for the moment where it hops over to 6-3. That means the first Reaper died. And I'll just cut in some things that happened. I'll cut in a part out of the live stream if I don't forget that. And then you'll hear me talk live, the moment where it happened, where I ended the game. And that will be the finisher. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like if you would want to. It was an insanely difficult video to make, mostly because it took so long to do. And it was a lot of effort. Especially the editing now, I took more than 14 hours to make this video, it's stupid. But I hope it was worth it and that you learned something, and of course, that you succeed with it. Good luck. And just for you to understand what happened in the live stream, it was a test run to figure out how to do this entire thing, and I didn't take Bloody Tear, which meant I didn't have my own healing, and I was continuously losing health. I had to pick up all the chickens, which meant my cats didn't become a lot stronger. And funny enough, the moment I got the first kill, I was scrolling up in chat to read a message, and I didn't realize that I was killing Reapers, like quite a few. Too bad I need to wait 5 minutes for Dex response, I'm sorry. Wait, did you write something? I probably oh, there you go. Wait. I'm Slovakian, and we also got that der, die, das, and also those nominative, etc. So explaining to English people, I just say you can put base word to 7 different false. Oh yeah, we say Fälle. Yeah, we say Fälle in German, right? And that is false in English. Well, not really, it's cases. But false is funny. As a translation for that. What the f? We did. I didn't even see it. I didn't even see it. I thought you're trolling me again. You know, I said I don't care if I die, but I would have actually been so sad. I would have only been happy to get out of this, but I would have been so sad to waste the entire time of doing this. I can't believe it. Oh. Well guys, I don't know what I was just talking about, because this should be towards the end of the video, unless I show stuff from the live stream. And yeah, as you can see, I'm recording for over 7 hours, which is actually recording, because I have to walk around and collect the stuff on the floor. And this is currently the damage. Yeah, the kitties do around 2.6k damage, and you might notice we have around 7 Reapers around me all the time, right? So I would say if I don't move around at all, maybe I can bring that down to 6. But the problem is, if you do the math, if they take 7 minutes to die, I need to double my damage to get to 3.5 minutes, again double it to get to 1/3, and then again double it to get below 1 minute. My goal is to kill them before the next one spawns, right? So I have to be below 1 minute. That means I have to double my damage 4 times, which means I have to reach around 35k, something around this ballpark, at least when I did the math. And yeah, that's a bit more than what I have right now, and I already record for 7 hours. And it's quite simple. My drive is running full, and it's actually about to corrupt the file if I don't stop the recording, so that was it. I'm sorry. But together we can take a look at the final damage screen. I also tried to break something else. Oh, there we go. Oh, 42G? Really? I mean, that's okay, but it's like... eh. Well, I also tried to break something else. which is the damage number. I wanted to go over G. And once I did the calculation, the Reaper had around 207 million health. It would mean that I have to kill 5,000 Reapers to reach that. 5,000. So, yeah, that's not gonna happen.